see if I can do one take.
Okay.
All right, guys. So welcome to Value Pursuit. It's Tyler here. I'm here with my friend Randy. This is episode 14. So we're doing a different style of an interview. Definitely tune into the visual for this so you can see this beautiful garage here at Ludensol Detailing. We're here at the business and we're interviewing the business owner themselves in person. So Patrick and I, as all of our viewers already know, listeners know, generally we're on Zoom. So this is really a special treat to be able to come here and be able to be in person with you face to face and have these beautiful cars in the background as well. So just real quick, make sure you check out episode 13 because in episode 13 we had Joe from Empower You and Patrick actually went over there and hung out with him and they chatted and that was a great episode as well.
Awesome.
So Randy, thank you for being on Value Pursuit, man. Pleasure to have you.
First off, thanks for the opportunity. This is my first podcast, so I'm really excited. I listen to a lot of podcasts, so it's fun to finally be on one. And this is a great opportunity, so I'm excited.
Very excited, man. Yeah, I've known Randy, just quick background, not too long. I knew of you through one of my friends that hopefully I'll have on eventually at Westchester Wheel Repair, STS Auto Design, Jeffrey. But great guy. Let me come in and be here around all these beautiful cars and you know, ask you questions, pick your brain, and you know, and people are gonna probably get a lot from this. So
yeah,
you know,
for sure.
Definitely at the end of this, we'll make sure to circle back. But if you guys are interested in hearing anything else from Randy, we'll make sure that we have him back on, whether it's online or again in here in person. So we do have just some notes here because generally we're on Zoom. So we're gonna just refer to our notes because we're filming with the iPhone, so we're not able to kind of look down and have the different notes that we wanted to ask Randy.
Yep.
So Randy, we're just going to start with, we generally always ask on Valued Pursuit, your origin story. So that's just basically kind of take us back to when you were, young kid, kind of give us a little bit of your background, where you grew up, how you kind of got to this point.
Okay, so basically I've always been into cars. It's been one of my passions since I was young. In high school, actually, funny story, I had 2 cars by the age I was 14, and that's kind of what where it came from. My father never really was into cars, so I don't know how I liked it. I guess you can say Fast and Furious and the Need for Speed games and stuff like that. But my first 2 cars I had a Honda Civic in the times of 2001 era where it was like cool to have like ricey cars and stuff like that. I remember I purchased it on eBay and it was like $1,200. It was crashed in the front. And I tied it to a tree and I used like a fence puller, pulled out the front end, bought a couple parts for it, and then I ended up actually trading that car for like $3,500. So it wasn't a bad come up. And then with the other car I had, I just put a little bit more money into it and then I traded that for a motorcycle. So by 15 I had a bike and a car, and that's kind of what sparked the interest of cars. And then in high school I did BOCES. And I did auto body. So when I was doing auto body, I was actually switching to cars every couple months. I was always someone that wanted to try a new car. So I went from typical Honda kid. So I had Civics and Tegras, and then every couple months I would switch it up, get another car, bring it in. And I made really good friends with the teacher at auto body. I remember Mr. Z. He was the man. He let me I took apart a whole quarter panel on an Acura Integra I had and put a new one in because it was actually crashed. And I think that's kind of where I learned to work on cars, because I was always never really liked the mechanics of it. I more liked the appearance, the aesthetics. So I learned how to use a polisher and I learned how to paint. And then out of high school, I actually worked at an auto body shop for about a year. And I did all the helper type of stuff. So it would, once a car was done, I'd have to wash it, clean it, give it the detail. And I say the detail like that because it was nothing like what I do now. It was just a quick wash and throw a little spray wax on it, make it look shiny, and out the door. So I did that for about a year, and then I realized I really didn't like that because they had me I liked the cleaning of the cars, but they had me doing some of the other stuff that no one else wanted to do. Obviously, me being right out of high school, they took advantage of that. So I had to do all the sanding and the prep work, and I'd go home miserable with dust all over me, and so that kind of stopped for a little bit. As far as I left the auto body, I worked at a car dealer for a little bit, and since I had a couple nice cars, what I would do would be on the weekends I'd kind of clean up my cars and little by little people started asking me, hey, can you detail my car? So I never really thought too much into it because this was before being a detailer was cool. Now it's like the cool thing to do, but before it wasn't really like that. So it was, detail my car real quick, kind of polish it, and go to shows. And then I started winning a couple events because my car looked nice. And then I said, you know what, maybe this could be something I can do on the side. So I started doing a couple friends' cars, a couple family members' cars. And I remember actually I started off mobile. So I had an Acura TSX and had everything in the trunk. And I remember I would just go to customers' houses, and sometimes I'd stay till like midnight, had to come back the next day, and it was a constant grind because I did this after my regular job. So I was constantly working, constantly busy, and just kind of started building up the clientele like that and building up relationships, because I feel like, that was really big, was, meeting people, and then from one person I would go to another person. And I did mobile detailing for about 3 years.
You were doing auto body with that too?
No, I wasn't doing no more auto body. Okay. So I started doing the auto detailing, and then what I did was I did a lot of YouTube learning, because I didn't go to school for auto detailing at first. I just did a lot of YouTube and looking online how to do this, how to do that, and just implementing it, practicing, messing up. I'm not sure if we can curse on here or anything, so I want to make sure. But that's what it started, and then like around COVID era, the opportunity came to get into a garage, and it was a very scary decision at the time, because I didn't have really any overhead at first, just the chemicals, and it was just the regular car that I was driving every day. So when I found the garage, I said, I went in, and it was a decision I had to make kind of instant right away. It was actually pretty funny. I found a garage on Facebook Marketplace, and I went to go look at it, and I was the second person to see it. The first person really wanted it, and he was actually still waiting in the car. And I had a feeling, and I said, you know what? I got to make a decision real quick, because I have a feeling that if I don't say yes, I'm going to lose it. So I called my cousin. He's a plumber. He said, yeah, I can put some water in there. I can do this and that. And that was really like my deciding factor. And I didn't even think about it any longer. And I told him right away. I said, hey, I'm going to take it. He says, you sure? I said, yes. We shook hands, right? And funny, right after I walked away, the first guy came back, because he decided he wanted it, and it was too late. And that could have changed a lot of things had I not, said yes right away. So
what led you to the move, like going from mobile to?
So it was right around November of 2019, I would say. Yeah, around November, September, it was getting a little bit colder. And what happens in mobile detailing when it gets cold is you kind of can't do anything. You can't really wash outside unless it's like sunny, and then once it reaches a certain temperature, most people turn off their waters, so you can't really do much. And I was looking at it like, I need to find a place where I can be inside. And the biggest thing, like I said, was the fact of being able to get water inside the garage, which we were able to do that. And then that was kind of like, if I didn't do that, things could have changed, because it would have been about 4 months without me actually detailing. Whereas since I was in a garage, I was able to kind of just get in there and start trying to grow. So I remember as soon as I got in there, I started messaging every single person I knew, and it was one of those things that, it was like a sink or swim type of moment, because like I said, I never had paid rent for a garage. So now I had this overhead over me, and it was a little scary at first. Right, and so I just started messaging a whole bunch of people saying, hey, I have this garage. And then little by little, it just started, just multiplying. And, I tried focusing on just doing the best that I could. And then just word of mouth. I've been very, very thankful that word of mouth for me has been amazing. I haven't really had to spend any money on marketing. I think that, every car that we work on, I look at it as like a mobile business card, so that to me is important. I'd rather put, really quality into what we do, and if something is not done correctly, then, we have to redo it. For example, we have this Porsche Macan here, and we'll talk about a little bit of, true story, because sometimes people don't show this type of stuff, but It's the fourth time we do this hood, and the reason being is because this car right here is a hard car to do with the way that the hood is designed. It's a clamshell hull. It's a clamshell hood, so the fenders are kind of connected to it. You need like a big piece of PPF to actually wrap it 100%. And then if you don't keep it wet, where it could get stuck, and you might get little marks and little things that other shops might let go. I just wasn't happy with it, so we, let's say last night till 10 o'clock at night, wasn't happy with one of the corners, the way that it was looking, so I said, you know what, we got to peel this off, we got to redo it again, and so now I had to order some more material because this uses a special, like I said, a special extra wide 72 inches, which is wider than what we normally use. Normal cars use 60 inches, which covers about everything. A car there's only like 3 popular cars that use that material, which would be the new Supra, has the same type of hood. It's a big hood that comes around the sides, and Dodge Vipers, which they're not really that many. We don't really do that many Dodge Vipers, and actually those are cut into 3 pieces. They actually seam it right down the middle, which I don't really like because sometimes that accumulates a little bit of dirt. And the Porsche Macan that has this the same type of hood. So. It's a learning process, so yes, it's going to be the 4th time that we do the hood, but at least now I kind of learned a little bit of the first 3 times that we did it. Also, another thing is because it is stealth material, we're doing a color change. It does act a little bit different. We did a gloss one last week, and it came out perfect, but stealth is a little bit different, and also black. Black is one of the harder colors to do because it will show if you do improper squeegees. It will show if something gets dry. So that's that. But we can go back to the question of...
Yeah, for sure. I was just thinking we kind of fast forwarded to the first garage. Were you by yourself still then, or were you?
I was by myself.
Anyone? Okay,
yes.
So take us through that thought process, because I know a lot of my friends too are in the industry, and they struggle with really finding a good person that they have to pay at a high rate, or teaching somebody that basically they're going to lose money, but they can pay them less, right? And they can be a prodigy, so to speak.
Exactly. Yeah. So the biggest thing, and I'm actually still struggling with this now, is finding the right person, the right fit, basically, for what you're doing. And at first, I started off with my younger brother. He was giving me a hand. Now, the thing with that is that sometimes when you work with family, it's hard because he sees me as his older brother. He doesn't see me as a boss or something like that. So it was a lot of back and forth, but he was with me for about a year, and then I had to make the decision that it just wasn't working out. A lot of the things that he was doing, I had to redo, stuff like that. So then I started looking. I found someone that knew a little bit about detailing, so he kind of came in with me, and this is all also part of the growing pains. Sometimes you have people that kind of come and they screw you over. So I taught him a lot. I taught him everything that I knew, and we were doing great for a couple months, and then he wanted a little bit more money. So I said, hey, listen, we can do this and that. He wasn't really too happy with it, and he ended up leaving, going to work for somebody else, and kind of left me alone again. So I remember it was about a month where I was just kind of struggling, doing everything on my own. And at the same time, that was good too, because that was kind of like a reset that I needed. Like I said, I listen to a lot of podcasts and stuff. So usually when I'm detailing cars, I have my headphones in. So it was like a month of me kind of just regaining traction, balancing myself again and kind of figuring out what I wanted to do. And I believe one of the biggest things that has helped me is kind of, when you put something out into the world, it comes out to you, And so one day, actually, I was at a gas station, and I had my detailing shirt on, and someone that was also there saw me wearing my shirt, and he asked me, "Oh, you do detailing?" And I said, "Yes." I thought maybe he needed a detail, so I was talking to him real quick, and he tells me that he actually washes cars down the street from one of the dealers. So okay, cool. We exchange info, and when I started getting a little bit busier, I would kind of reach out to him to kind of have him, like a subcontract, kind of have him just wash the car for me or just give me a hand when I needed a hand. And that went on for a few months. I saw he did good work, but he was mostly just like kind of a car washer. He wasn't really a detailer, which is which is another topic that's pretty funny. You know, the difference between a car washer and a detailer. There is actually a big difference. So he was more, you know, just volume work, you know, washing maybe 10 cars a day, where here we'll probably do 2 cars a day because we're going to take a lot more time, get a little bit more thorough with it. So he ended up leaving his job, and in the way that things worked, I reached out to him and I said, hey, you know, why don't you come give me a hand for a couple days? We'll do like a little trial period. And I basically had to re-teach him how to wash cars because at dealers, you know, they use brushes, they use, you know, things that we wouldn't do here. So I taught him the way that we did it, and in a couple months, he was kind of, you know, knocking things out by himself. He was learning, and he was really good, and he's actually been with me, you know, for the past year now, and teaching him a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and it's been good. But that's kind of, you know, the progression. Now I'm at the point where we need another full-time person. I have a lot of people that give me hands, you know, part-time, but I do need someone now full-time to kind of come in and give us a hand now that we have a little bit more room and we can get some more work done. Gotcha.
So first garage, was that right here next to here, or
Yes.
is that in another location?
Yeah, so the first garage actually we still have. It's actually right next door. Right? It's 450 square feet, so it's a little bit bigger than a 2-car garage. Normally we would just work on 1 car at a time, just kind of pull it sideways, and we made it work. You know, I was there for 3 years. And the whole time, you know, I was looking for somewhere else because I knew that I needed to expand. I needed something a little bit bigger. And back to the first point of how, you know, things happen for a reason. You know, I looked at a couple places. I almost signed on one place, and thankfully it didn't work out because, you know, the price was one thing, and then when I went to go sign, it was something completely different, you know, with extra taxes and all the
fees.
stuff that happens with
they always
commercial, you know, commercial properties is really annoying. And I built a relationship with the landlord actually of this property here, because this was actually empty lot. And he told me he wanted to build a garage because this is a country commercial area. So this is commercial and then residential in the front. So he wanted to build a couple units up front and then build kind of like a garage in the back for either storage or something. And he told me, he says, hey, listen, you know, thinking about doing it, but I'm not sure. I don't want to invest the money into building this if someone's not going to be in there, because it'd be a waste of money. So did a little thinking, you know, I said, you know what, maybe that's the move that I need, right? So the cool thing about this garage was that I came in to build this garage with somebody else that was kind of supplying the money for like the big things, and then little things that we did, like we made 13-foot high ceiling, so eventually we can put a lift in here. We did drains on both sides. We did some extra electric, so this way I knew that I was going to want to upgrade in the future, so now we have a nice compressor outside. So I tried thinking as much as I could on how we can build this space kind of to suite, you know, as it was getting built. And it was about a year process. That also was very hard because originally this garage was supposed to be ready by July of last year, which is like kind of prime time for, you know, detailing. And it ended up not getting completed until January of this year, which unfortunately is the worst time to open a car detailing spot because most cars are gone for the winter. And yeah, that's kind of, you know, how we got to where we are here.
That's awesome, man. 2 questions. Facebook Marketplace. That's an interesting place to find real estate. I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah. And the funny thing was I saw it because I would always go home and kind of search, you know, Marketplace, and I saw it about 3 hours after it was posted. That's why I was number 2 in line to see it the next day. The very next day I came to saw it, and that same day I made the decision, you know. So it was, at the time, probably the scariest decision that I made, and it just kind of been just like this. This was the scariest decision that I made after that, you know, and it's just been little by little kind of.
Take us back to, like, I always like to ask everybody this, but when you were on your own, you hired someone, you got, you know, messed around with a little bit, taken advantage of. Like, what keeps you going at that point, right? Like, you're like, and you were telling me about your Super 2. I don't know if you want to talk about that story, but like, where. You have to, obviously, you're probably very heated in the moment. And you have to kind of recollect and gather your thoughts and make a game plan and not be PO'd in the moment and make decisions, right? And sit back and really be logical what you're thinking. But what keeps you going? Like, why didn't you quit? You know, like detailing, you know, it's not a safe.
Yeah.
It's not a safe career. You know, you're an entrepreneur. You got to hustle. You got to market.
Exactly.
Word of mouth, like you said. You know.
The biggest thing that has kept me pushing forward is kind of that sink or swim mentality. It's one of those things that, you know, you really only fail when you stop. So, you know, had I not pushed to try to get some work in or not pushed to try to keep moving forward, then I would just fail. So like I said, as soon as I moved into the garage, I literally went through my phone and I messaged every single person that I had detailed previously, which wasn't that many because, like I said, it was, you know, I did a lot of mobile jobs. So I just kind of reached out to everybody and I said, hey, listen, you know, I have a garage. If you need your cars cleaned through the winter. And the first month was a little shaky, but then little by little, as cars started coming in, it kind of built on that momentum, you know, and once you get that momentum, you kind of start going. But things always happen, like I explained with the hood. And last night, 10 o'clock at night, the last thing I wanted to do was kind of being here, you know, peeling a hood off. But it's one of those things. Too. Yeah, yeah. It's just one of those things that you know, unless you give up, you're not really failing. You know, and like I said, you can take a little bit of everything that you kind of went through and learn, and then hopefully, you know, you can apply it and not make the same mistake.
Where'd you learn that mentality? Where'd that come from? Podcasts, parenting?
That came from a lot of podcasts and just you know, just trying to be more aware of what I do, because, you know, before I used to kind of, you know, blame other people for something that would happen. You know, I would trip and fall and then blame, you know, someone putting something there instead of me looking down and saying, hey, you know, if I would have saw that, maybe I wouldn't have fell, you know? Right. So that's kind of been with the mentality that I've been trying to implement more and more. And it's hard, and some days it does get me, but try to take a deep breath and then kind of refocus, you know, like you said. And if you want to talk about the Supra, it's
viewers want to hear it.
Yeah. If you want to hear about
what year is it, real quick?
So I have it's a 93 and a half, technically 94, but it's a 93 and a half Toyota Supra. So it's the first year of the Mark IV, and I bought it to a shop last year to get some work done. And originally it was supposed to be something very simple, you know, like a 2-week process. When they started tearing into the car, they realized that, you know, my pistons needed to probably get redone because there was some damage to it. It wasn't too bad. He said he could have put it together and it would have been fine. But I said, well, if we're already here, we might as well do it all, right? So I ended up getting new pistons. We ended up doing a full engine build, and this was back in February of last year. So I got promised about, you know, 2 months, 3 months, because that wasn't the original plan. Okay, no problem, you know, and come September, I think it was the beginning of September, the car was finally ready after about 7-8 months, and I go to pick it up, and it's in Pennsylvania, so it was like 2.5 hours for me, so completely out of the way. And I realized as we're on the test drive, kind of going over everything, the car was acting a little funny, and when we get back to the shop, the car was actually overheating. On top of that, it was leaking a little bit of oil, so, you know, I said, hey, what's going on here? So they fixed it, quote unquote, after 4 hours of me waiting for it to be ready. And I said, you know what, it's good, I'll take it. Thinking back, I should have just left it, but I know that if I would have left it there, probably nothing would have happened, because if we move on to the story, you'll see why. So I took the car back. I'm by New Jersey, and the car starts to overheat again. And I was like, oh man, what the hell now? So I called the guy up, and he tells me, hey, you know, maybe the relay blew, so let's, you know, try this. So I did a little quick fix, and coincidentally it worked. So I continued driving home, and I babied it, which is one of the things, I've always babied my car. So I knew it wasn't something that I did wrong, and I drive it home. The car, like I said, was sitting for a long time, so it was super filthy everywhere. And
prior to picking it up, you're saying, right?
When I picked it up,
yeah, gotcha,
it was filthy. The guy, he didn't even clean the engine bay, didn't do anything. I mean, I told him not to wash the outside because I am OCD with it, so I didn't want somebody else washing it, you know, and making it worse. So I took it home, and then the next day I was excited to finally have my car back. I wanted to bring it into the garage and give it a nice clean, you know, detail it up. So on my way here to work, which is about 40 minutes, the car overheated again. So at that point, I said, okay, something is definitely wrong. And it overheated to the point that it started to misfire. So I managed to get it all the way to the garage, and then I had to change this. I changed the spark plugs, and then the car was running fine again. But I felt something was weird, something was off. I wasn't confident in it, especially after all the work that was just done. So I reached out to the shop and I told them what was going on. And a couple of days later, they came, they picked it up, took it back to the garage, and supposedly they fixed it. They changed the radiator, they did some other stuff. And one of the biggest things was that they didn't want to do a leak down test, right? And he asked me, he says, listen, we did a compression test, everything looks okay, but we're not doing a leak down test unless you really want me to. And I said,
Leak down
well,
real quick is just what, to see where it's leaking from?
leak down test essentially is kind of where I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I know that it's a little bit more like how they can check to make sure the motor is fine. Gotcha. So when they did that, they realized something was wrong in one of the pistons, and so he had to take it apart again. And when he took it apart again, the pistons were damaged, and these were brand new pistons that were put in. So essentially what had happened was the car kind of overheated, the head gasket went, and two of the pistons got torched, which damaged a whole bunch of other stuff. So now we got into this whole thing of, who's to blame. The shop, unfortunately, was in a transition from the tuner, and so no one wanted to take responsibility, and that's kind of where I was left, where they wanted me to speak to the tuner, they wanted me to speak to the builder. No one wanted to take responsibility. No one wanted to pay for the damages. So me being nice, I said, hey, listen, I'll buy new pistons again, but that's really all I'm doing because I already spent a whole bunch of money, and now mind you, I had paid for the work. So he said, okay, no problem, we'll get it fixed for you. Give us about December. So like I said, this is September time. So December comes around and I haven't really received any updates. So I started getting a little nervous because I know, December came quick, right? And then before that, March, April, everything else is gonna come quick, and I already had lost the whole year without the car. So when I reached out to them, they told me, hey, March, it should be ready. And I told them, no, that's enough. I've been way too nice. Like this is just enough. So I picked up the car. The car was complete wreck. They had not even touched it after 2 months. So when I took it to another shop, they realized that everything was done completely wrong. Bolts were in the wrong places. When they assembled things, they were dirty. They weren't done correctly. So just everything in general was done incorrectly. So now the motor is getting built at another shop, and everything that I spent the first time, completely gone, completely wasted. And now the second time is actually costing me more because I had to buy more things that went wrong and do it all over again for basically to be at where it should have been in the first place. Yeah. So that's, when that happened to me, it was something that was hard for me to sleep at night because I was really, really annoyed and at wit's end. But I know now at least the car will be good. I can enjoy it. And that's I kind of just forgot about what happened. And then I was looking into legal actions of maybe, trying to sue the shop for some money back and stuff like that. But unfortunately, that shop went under because apparently I wasn't the only one. So there was other victims out there that they apparently did the same thing too, and until the landlord kind of just pulled the plug and kicked them out. So now that's where we're at.
What stimulated you to handle it that way? I'm sure a lot of us.
I kept on,
included, how do you know good things are going to come around? There's light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak.
Well, because I kept on pushing it off as much as I could, and I just said, oh, they'll take care of it, and I just realized that it was reaching a point where if I didn't do anything about it, the car would have sat there again until March, and it would have been even worse because they left the car outside exposed, so a lot of things were starting to get oxidized, and unfortunately with the older Supras, a lot of those parts are discontinued, so it's one of those things that's really hard,
And they got to be imported too, right? Most of them.
No. So mine is a USDM spec, okay. So it's a left-hand drive from here, but some parts are just, you can't get them. Even if you had the money to buy them, you just can't get them. And so that was a car that even before I had a garage, I was always paying for storage to keep it inside, especially through the winter months. I didn't want the car to be exposed to all the elements just because it's something that really can damage the finish. It's all original paint, except the front end I had repainted, but all original paint, low mileage, about 60,000 miles on it right now. So I wanted to try to keep it as nasty as I could, and if I didn't do anything, it would have sat there for a little bit longer.
Yeah, man.
With
Wow,
nothing
that's
happening.
That's a crazy story.
Yeah.
All right, so what made you handle that situation with the Supra in that manner? Like, how'd you not explode and get superheated? And I know, as for myself, I would just be furious and wouldn't know how to handle that situation. So,
Well, first, I definitely was furious. I just figured that it was one of those things that I knew I just had to get it out of there and get it to another shop and just kind of keep it moving forward, because if I would have blown up on them, it would have not solved anything. So I just knew the only action was just to get it out of there and get somebody else to finish it.
gotcha. All right, so and then we're going to jump back to what we were talking about with the garage before. So
Yes.
first garage was, you said, I forget the square footage, but smaller than this one. Take us through real quick how you transitioned from your first garage to this space here. Tell us a little bit about it.
So the first garage, 450 square feet, 2-car garage. We would work on one car at a time, sideways. This way we had enough space, and then occasionally we would have a car outside. Once we started getting a little too busy, I realized that it was time to move into a bigger garage. So we started looking. A couple things fell through, and then my landlord reached out to me that he owned this property that was basically just a vacant lot, and he wanted to build a garage, mostly for storage. But he asked me, he goes, listen, if you want it, maybe we can work something out. So after thinking about it, I said, you know what, that this might be the move. And it was a year-long project that I was actually really grateful for, because I was able to do a lot of changes to it as it was getting built. So we were able to put drains on both sides. We were able to pitch the floors. We were able to put a higher ceiling. So we got 13-foot high ceiling here. So eventually we can put a lift in here if we want. And a lot of little custom things, especially upstairs. We were also able to do some customization with the layout of how this garage was built, since it was a brand new build. So that was one of those things that just staying focused on just what I was looking for, which was to have a home to be able to do a one-stop shop, which is kind of what I've always wanted to do. And little by little things started falling into place.
Gotcha. So take us through that point right there real quick. What do you guys offer here?
So now what we do, besides regular detailing, we also do vinyl wraps. We do window tinting, audio systems. We do dash cams, and we also do upholstery now. So if you need any custom upholstery done, you can reach out to DID Design. So Dream Interior Design, Eric. He's very good at anything interior related, even not just automotive. He also can do like boats and bikes. Another thing that we're working on now actually is 3D printing. So we're working on getting a couple things done for our industry. Things that I see that could be invented. We've been working on, which is pretty cool. We do that all in house. So we got 3D printers here. We got sewing machines here. We got plotters for cutting PPF here. So everything now is in house, and then also anything that you need performance related, we can get also from our buddies at Buy Your Build. Greg, he's really good, and he can get any type of parts for your car, wheels, tires, everything. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Where did the name come from? Is it Ludensol? Is it Ludensol? Take us through that story.
So Ludensol is the name, and that comes from when I was 15 years old and I had my 2 cars. Like I said, one of them was a Honda Prelude and the other was a Honda Del Sol. And back then we had the forums. It wasn't Facebook or anything, so on the forums you had to make a username, and the username I came up with was just putting both the cars together, was Lud and Sol, and then that name has stuck with me for the past 16 years. That's been my name, and I just decided to just put the detailing to it, and it's good. It's a talking point. People always ask if that's my last name, if that's, they're curious as to what that is, and they don't know how to pronounce it. So it's funny because it's one of those things that it stays with you.
Gotcha. So take us through your 3 non-negotiables.
Yeah.
You seem like a very humble guy. You build relationships with a lot of different people because you never really know who you're going to meet. were telling me before, we're actually re-recording this. We missed 30 minutes of it, so we're doing this again for you guys.
Yeah.
But, you know, you said you met Eric. He was in California. Greg, if you want to mention real quick about them too.
Yeah. So I feel networking is the best thing. Making relationships is the best thing. And when you find certain people that you can kind of connect with and you can trust, and they kind of have the same values that you have, those being, you know, you just want to be better. You know, you want to try to stay positive. Things always happen. So, you know, if you have that good positive mindset and the energy, you know, it's one of those things. Sometimes the energy is unspoken and you can just feel it. And that's kind of, you know, Eric, when he called me because he was living in California, and he told me he was thinking about coming back. And at that moment, I was only taking the bottom of this garage, which is about 1,600 square feet, and I didn't need the upstairs. And he tells me he wants to come back and do interior on his own because he was working for another company out in California. And it started off as a joke. I said, hey, why don't you come work with me? And then it became serious a couple months later, and then he ended up moving back here, and we made it happen. So I would say, yeah, for sure.
Awesome. So 3 non-negotiables. So usually it's something like you're waking up in the morning, taking you really quick through your daily routine to kind of prime you to come here and be productive throughout your week.
I start off with definitely the gym. For me is one of the biggest things. It's funny because the days that I don't go to the gym for whatever reason, I actually have an off day, and I actually will be more tired, which is funny to think, because I'll go to the gym and I'll kind of take out all my energy in the gym, but I'll come in feeling ready to take on the day. So the number one thing that I do is definitely go to the gym every day. Saturdays, I take Saturdays off because the next one would be family, or the first one is family, really. And what I do on Saturdays, I spend a little bit more time at home before coming in the morning, because my morning routine, I wake up at 4:30 in the morning every morning, which means I go to sleep early. Usually like 9:30, I'm in bed. Sometimes I stay up a little bit later, but 4:30 we're getting my son ready. He's 2 years old, so we're getting him ready for daycare. Getting my wife, she's a school teacher, so she's getting ready for school, for work. I'm getting ready, and then I start off my day 6 o'clock at the gym. Usually about 8:30 I'm here, starting off my day, answering questions, answering emails, sending out invoices, just kind of getting ready for the day.
Yeah, you were telling me before, discipline's really your major kind of contributor from the gym. That's your anchor for that discipline to help you in all your other aspects of life.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, no, the gym definitely trains that discipline muscle, because that kind of goes with everything else. You know, if you stay disciplined, it's hard, but once you start doing it, it kind of just gets easier as you go.
Gotcha. Awesome. All right. I think we got everything down that we missed, and hopefully it's still recording. Yeah. But real quick, where people can get in touch with you, your contact information, and
so you can find us on Instagram, Ludensol. Also, our website is LudensolDetailing.com, and follow us on Instagram. We try to post a lot of educational videos, some funny videos, a little bit different content than other places. You know, we want to inform and kind of educate on what we do, and just kind of show you a day in the life here. Sometimes it gets a little hectic. We got a lot of things going on sometimes, so it's pretty cool.
Awesome. Last thing, words of wisdom for viewers. What's one thing that you're going to tell the listeners, tell the viewers if they're watching?
So one thing I would say is the only way to fail is by giving up. So if you don't give up, you can't fail.
Exactly. And I said before, David Goggins says attempt. So every single time that you try and you fall short is just an attempt to just be successful on that last try. And,
for sure.
You know, Randy does a good job with kind of showing, like he was talking about the Macon before, or Macon, however you say it. That's always an argument too. They had to do that 4 times just because they weren't happy with it. Yeah. So, you know, you got to be transparent and show that, you know, the only way you learn is by making mistakes and improving as you go forward. So
for sure.
Thank you for listening. Definitely post comments below if you're watching this on YouTube. We encourage you to do that, because we've got the garage, we've got the video, and we're in the actual business owner's studio here today, which is awesome. It's been a pleasure. Awesome. If you guys have any questions, you can post them there. You can also message Randy on Instagram if you want to, you know, ask me something, or message us on Valued Pursuit, and we'd be happy to have him on again. Potentially, maybe do some sort of detailing or automotive kind of content and episodes to follow. And thanks, man. It was a pleasure.
100%. Thank you.
Thank you for being here and taking a step towards growth. As the saying goes, change is inevitable, but growth is optional. We look forward to sharing more expertise and content with you, and we want to hear from you about what topics you're interested in learning more about. Please share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're enjoying this experience, please like, subscribe, and share with others who could benefit.
Our goal is to grow the show and bring on more valuable guests to provide relevant content for your life. Thank you for joining us on this mission to spread knowledge and connect with people around the world. The Valued Pursuit podcast and content posted by Valued Pursuit is presented solely for general informational, educational, and entertainment purposes. The use of information on this podcast or materials linked from this podcast or website are at the user's own risk. It is not intended as a substitute for the advice of a physician, medical, psychotherapist, or any other qualified professional, diagnosis, or treatment. Users should not disregard or delay in obtaining medical advice for any medical or mental health condition they may have and should seek the assistance of their healthcare professionals for any such condition. You ever have a vision? Something you see play out before it happens? They say that the scariest thing in life is not growing into your potential, not recognizing the person you were created to be. We are on a mission to help everyone on this planet chase that version of you, your most fulfilled self. Created here in the USA, Reinvent Co. is now releasing their one-off hoodie in a full zip design. Premium quality fitted to your physique to show you are chasing greatness in all aspects of life. Wear a garment that shows your potential evolving over a lifetime and become a part of a brand where humans connect to knock down the obstacles they face for endless refinement and continuous improvement.